Welcome, curious minds, to the Summary Studio. Today, we're jumping into a deep dive, looking at a really foundational text, one that's had a huge impact on generations of thinkers, entrepreneurs, you name it. This isn't just any book, it's kind of a legacy. We're talking about Napoleon Hill's classic work, Think and Grow Rich, Principles of Success. And hey, before we get started, if you like what we do here, please take a second to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. So this book came out way back in 1937. And it's not your typical self-help guide. Hill actually spent, over 20 years researching, interviewing more than 500 really successful people from that time. Big names like Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison. His whole goal was to figure out what they had in common, what philosophies, what practices led to their success. And he boiled it down into these 13 core principles for, personal achievement and getting rich. The fact it's still a bestseller today says a lot, I think.
It really does. And the absolute core of it all, the bedrock philosophy, is that famous line, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Now, that sounds maybe a bit simple today, but back then, it was pretty radical. Still is, in a way. His argument is that success isn't just about talent or, working yourself to the bone. It starts in your head. It begins with a really strong desire, super clear goals, and keeping that positive mental attitude consistently. Basically, the wealth you want, whatever form that takes, has to be built in your mind first before you see it in your bank account or, in your life.
That's a powerful starting point, isn't it?
Yeah.
That your thoughts, your mental state, directly shape your reality. Makes you immediately think, okay, so how do I do that? How do I shape that mental landscape? So, let's unpack this. Let's dive into these 13 principles. First up, the absolute foundation. Desire, the starting point of all achievement. Hill is really clear here. Just wanting something casually, a wish, that's not going to cut it. For real achievement, it has to be a burning desire, almost an obsession, really, for a specific outcome. Wealth, career, whatever it is.
Exactly. It's the difference between, I'd like to be rich someday, and saying, I will have X amount of money by this specific date, and here's exactly what I'll do to get it. He insists on that level of specificity. You have to name the amount, set the deadline, and, crucially, this is the part people often miss: declare exactly what you're willing to give in return. It's not just about wanting. It's about the commitment, the sacrifice, the effort you're going to put in. It's a deal you make with yourself.
Okay, so you've got this burning specific desire. But how do you keep that flame alive? Especially when, things get tough or doubts creep in. Hill says the next step is faith. Visualize and believe in the attainment of desire. And this isn't just wishful thinking, right? It's an active process, cultivating the solid belief that your goals are achievable.
Absolutely. And the natural question is, well, how do you build that faith, especially if you don't feel it initially? He'll point straight to things like positive affirmations, what he calls autosuggestion. It's about constantly feeding your mind with the belief in your goal, reinforcing it over and over until it just sinks in, becomes part of you. He really hammers home the need to eliminate doubt, because faith, in his view, is like the mental chemistry that turns that desire from just a thought into, something real. It gives it power.
Which leads us perfectly into number 3. Autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. This is really the how-to for building that faith we just talked about. Hill suggests, repeatedly stating your goal, your definite purpose, saying it out loud, thinking it, visualizing yourself having already achieved it. This actually conditions your subconscious mind.
Yeah, think of it like programming your internal software. Your subconscious, according to Hill, doesn't really judge between what's real out there and what you vividly imagine or repeat constantly. It just acts on the strongest thoughts you give it. So if you feed it doubt and fear, that's where it steers you. Autosuggestion is about consciously choosing to feed it your goals, packed with emotion and belief. You're telling your subconscious, this is the destination. Work towards this. It takes daily practice, that mental discipline.
Okay, moving to principle 4. Specialized knowledge, personal experiences, or observations. This one's interesting because Hill challenges that old saying, knowledge is power. He says, no, general knowledge isn't necessarily power. It's specialized, usable knowledge that really counts. It's not about knowing a little bit about everything.
Precisely. And the really key insight here, I think, is that you don't have to personally possess all that specialized knowledge yourself. Hill was big on leveraging others. The wisdom is in knowing where to find the knowledge you need, or, maybe more importantly, who has it. It's about building a network, finding mentors, maybe formal education, using experts, recognizing you can't know everything, but you can assemble the knowledge you need.
Right. And then number 5, imagination, the workshop of the mind. This is a cool concept. The idea that everything, all success, every great invention, it all starts as just an idea, a thought someone had.
It's about using that creative imagination to dream up possibilities, to form those initial plans.
This is where the breakthroughs happen, right? I mean, think about anything big, the light bulb, the internet, whatever. It was just a thought experiment at first, an idea in someone's head. Imagination lets us leap beyond what we currently see and conceive something totally new. Hill talks about two types. Synthetic imagination, like remixing old ideas, and creative imagination, those flashes of inspiration. Both are vital. It's the mental sandbox where anything is possible.
But imagination without action is just daydreaming. So how do you make those ideas real? That brings us to organized planning. The crystallization of desire into action. Okay, you've got the desire, the goal, maybe the idea, but you absolutely need a concrete plan, steps to take.
Yeah, and Hill is relentless on this. Planning isn't a one-shot deal. You need persistence in planning. If plan A fails, you don't ditch the goal, you make plan B, then plan C if needed, until something works. And this is where he really emphasizes working with others, that mastermind group idea, to make your plans stronger, more resilient. It's about strategy, adaptability.
Okay, principle 7, decision, the mastery of procrastination. This sounds straightforward, but it's a big deal in Hill's system. Successful people, they make decisions quickly, firmly, and then they stick with them.
He saw indecision and procrastination as just massive roadblocks to success, like fundamental enemies. He noticed that people who didn't succeed tended to decide slowly, maybe never really commit, and then they'd change their minds constantly. The advice is pretty blunt. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Start now with what you have. Make a choice. Act. It's about committing and moving, not getting stuck waiting.
Which flows right into number 8. Persistence, the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. This one seems obvious, never give up. But Hill says this is where so many people stumble, often right before they actually succeed.
It's more than just grit, though. Hill sees persistence as a state of mind. It's fueled by that definite purpose, the burning desire, self-reliance, good planning. It means pushing forward even through failure, criticism, roadblocks that seem impossible. The key is combining willpower with that original desire and just refusing to accept defeat, refusing to settle. Persistence, for Hill, is what actually makes things happen. It turns wishes into reality.
Now, principle 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. You mentioned this briefly under planning. Let's dig in. Hill defines a mastermind group as basically a team effort, 2 or more people working together harmoniously towards a specific goal.
Yeah, this is one of his most famous and, frankly, most powerful ideas. He truly believed that when people align their minds with a shared goal, something extra is created, like a third mind, a synergy. It's more than just the sum of the parts. These groups bring different ideas, experiences, motivation, and, really importantly, accountability. The core idea is that collective brain power and focused effort, especially when everyone's on the same page, just leads to way faster growth and better problem solving than anyone could manage alone. It's a real accelerator.
Okay, principle 10. This one always gets attention. The mystery of sex transmutation. It sounds intriguing. Hill frames sexual energy as this incredibly powerful creative force, maybe the strongest human drive there is.
Right. And transmutation just means changing energy from one form to another. Hill's idea was that if you consciously redirect this powerful primal energy away from just the physical towards other goals like your business, your art, your studies, it can provide immense fuel. It can boost creativity, drive, focus, even mental strength. He observed that many top achievers seem to understand this, channeling that intensity into their ambitions. It's less about literal sex and more about harnessing that raw, powerful life force energy and focusing it like a laser on your goals. It can create incredible drive.
Moving to 11, the subconscious mind, the connecting link. So the subconscious is like this receiver, taking in all our thoughts and feelings, positive or negative, right?
Exactly, and it doesn't really filter or judge. It just acts on the dominant thoughts, especially the ones charged with strong emotion. This makes it absolutely critical, almost like a continuous job, to consciously feed it positive stuff, faith, desire, images of success. Because if you're constantly dwelling on fear or lack, well, your subconscious works to make that your reality, feed it success, and it works towards that. It's your silent partner, always working based on your input.
Number 12, the brain a broadcasting and receiving station for thought. Hill gets a bit conceptual here. He sees the brain as more than just gray matter. It's like a transmitter and receiver. When it's tuned correctly through applying the other principles, it can actually attract opportunities, people, ideas aligned with your desires.
Yeah, this one can feel a bit out there for some people, but think of it in terms of focus and resonance. Hill believed that strong, clear thoughts, filled with emotion and belief, create a kind of mental vibration. And that vibration attracts similar vibrations, opportunities, people who can help, insights. It really underscores the need to keep your mind consistently vibrating with positivity, with belief, with the feeling of your goal already achieved, like tuning a radio to the right station.
And finally, the 13th principle, kind of the peak. The sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. Hill describes this as like your gut feeling, intuition, those sudden flashes of insight, that inner voice.
Right. And what's interesting is he says you can't just force this one or learn it directly from a book. It develops over time. It grows stronger as you consistently practice the other 12 principles, as you develop mental discipline. It's like a higher level of awareness, maybe a connection to a broader intelligence that starts to emerge when your mind is really prepared and open. It's the payoff, offering guidance beyond just logic.
Wow, okay. That's quite a framework, 13 powerful principles.
Yeah.
But hey, here's where it gets really practical. What stops people? What gets in the way of actually using these principles successfully?
Ah, yes, the obstacles. Hill is very direct about this. The biggest enemy, fear. He calls fear the greatest enemy of success. He believed it could completely sabotage your confidence, kill your dreams before they even get off the ground. And he didn't just talk about fear vaguely. He identified 6 specific common fears that hold people back.
The 6 ghosts of fear, he called them. Okay, let's list them. There's the fear of poverty.
Which can totally paralyze you, make you afraid to take any risks.
Then the fear of criticism.
Huge one. Stops people sharing ideas, trying new things because they worry what others will think or say.
The fear of ill health.
Constant worry, anxiety about getting sick, focusing on what could go wrong physically.
The fear of loss of love.
This can lead to insecurity, jealousy, making bad decisions in relationships, or trying too hard to please others.
The fear of old age.
Worrying about becoming useless, losing vitality, leading to a kind of resignation.
And the big one, the fear of death.
That fundamental anxiety about the end, the unknown.
So just knowing these isn't enough, right?
Not at all. Hill's challenge is you have to confront these fears, recognize them in yourself, understand where they come from, and then systematically work to eliminate them. They're like mental weeds. You have to pull them out for the good stuff, the principles, to really grow and work effectively. So, if we boil it all down, the core message from Think and Grow Rich is still incredibly relevant. Success really does start in your mind. With a burning desire, a crystal clear vision, you have to actively train your mind affirmations, planning, and just sheer persistence when things get tough. Surrounding yourself with the right people, that mastermind idea is crucial for support and ideas. You absolutely have to take action. Make decisions. Don't be afraid to fail, see it as feedback. But underlying it all is belief. Deep belief in yourself and your ability to direct your thoughts, your mindset, well, it really is everything according to Hill.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with, something to chew on from Hill himself. He wrote, "You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be." Pretty powerful stuff. So think about it. What does that really mean for you? For your goals, your dreams? If you truly accepted that your mind is the starting point, what could you achieve? What potential is just sitting there waiting for you to apply these ideas? Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. We really hope it gave you some useful insights, maybe some motivation for your own path. And hey, if you got value from this, please do hit that like button and subscribe to the Summary Studio. We've got lots more deep dives coming your way. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next time.